Guys, what's going on? Welcome back to Cereal at Midnight. This is sort of a, what is this? It's a like you were there for the 40th anniversary Transformers celebration. This is an event that is being held in movie theaters. It was held at my local AMC, but I know different theaters all across the country are hosting this thing. It was advertised as being a celebration of the 40th anniversary of Transformers, the animated series. We're talking about the original OG Transformers Generation 1 cartoon from 1984 that aired in syndication Monday through Friday. That is my Transformers. That's what made me love the Transformers. Then, of course, all the toys that were pouring out onto the toy aisles. I love Transformers, specifically Generation 1, all the way through the movie. And I really wanted to be there for this event. And I had high expectations because it was being advertised as celebrates 40 years of the original Transformers. And they were going to do a revoicing of the first episode. It all sounded so cool, followed by a marathon of the next 3 episodes of the cartoon. So it was the More Than Meets the Eye 3-part miniseries, and then 1 episode after that. And I was like, oh, sounds great. Well, so the reason I'm making this video is I just want to talk about what actually happened. I want to talk about the expectations and really the lack of delivery on pretty much any and all of those expectations. So first of all, it's like a separate ticketed event. It's at the AMC movie theater, right? But it's not like a movie. It's an event. They're gonna get a special introduction from Peter Cullen and from the people that voiced Frank Welker, that voiced the Transformers. So we go in. There's about 40 people there. I counted. There were about 40 people there, and my people, right? People like you and me, our people, convention kind of people. We know what we're talking about, like nerds. Like it was a theater full of, well, felt full, about 40 people. Nerds, the people that stand in line at conventions, that are really invested in getting out I saw it on a Wednesday night, which was the first night. On a Wednesday night, this is a work night, a school night, to celebrate this thing from 40 years ago. And the lights dim, right? We're all excited. The popcorn's munching, and then they start showing trailers. Well, first of all, they show 5 minutes of commercials for Coca-Cola or whatever, and then car insurance, and then the trailers start, and we're like, you could hear the sighs in the theater. It's like, because I think the expectation was, well, if this is supposed to be like this event with not a panel, but an introduction and time spent with the people, the voices, the people behind the voices that we love, that they're not going to try to sell us on other movies, but they did. So there were, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes of trailers and they were all for kids movies. So of course it's, Garfield and all kinds of stuff. And you could just with each successive trailer, the distress, the unrest was growing in the audience, just ugh. And then, so then that ends, and then we get the Nicole Kidman, "This is why we go to the movies," that thing, right? And then we get, AMC is "Here's why you come to the movies too, thanks to our shareholders," like that. So, but it's 25 minutes is the point. It's 25 minutes of stuff before our event even starts. And then screen goes black. Hasbro. We're like, and then these 2 people pop up and they're like, "Hey guys, we're celebrating the 40th anniversary of Transformers with new toys." That's right, it's the 40th anniversary. You can get your anniversary vehicles. And I'm like, oh, they're selling toys. I guess it makes sense. The criticism of Transformers was that it was always, and it's a fair criticism, it existed to sell toys, right? It was all those shows like G.I. Joe and Transformers and Thundercats and He-Man, it was just a toy commercial, right? But the cool thing about those toy commercials is that the people that wrote them and the people that voiced them, they really got into it, right? It wasn't, so many wonderful, talented comics writers also worked in animation. They worked on writing those scripts, and good stuff. I mean, really, the lore of Transformers that the movies kind of tap into, it was all created by a lot of these cartoon writers, and then the comic book writers, guys like Simon Furman, oh my goodness. So it was always said to have been a commercial for a toy. This was an actual toy commercial. They're like, you can go after this event and you can buy all these Transformers figures, and they had them like lined up and stuff. And then I'm like, oh, okay. And then that goes away, and then it's like another advertisement for more Transformers stuff, and I'm like, oh. All told, it was like 8 minutes of commercials for Transformers products. They're like, Amazon, get your Transformers stuff at Amazon.com in the Transformers store. Birthday parties, and then they show like cake toppers and stuff. I'm like, that's when I started to, the little dominoes started to fall on my head, and I was like, Hasbro and the event, I was gonna say like the event organizers, it's really just Hasbro, saw this as an opportunity to sell a captive audience more merchandise. We're supposed to be there, in theory, to celebrate the thing that we already love. The Transformers, they know we love it. We've committed to an event, right? At night, even. And they're like, they'll buy more stuff, right? So I'm like, oh. And then they're like, here's the trailer for Transformers 1, which is this prequel, which I don't know, guys, doesn't seem to fit with the Transformers lore that I know from the comic books and from all those IDW comic books. It seems like they're going for they're like, that's the thing about all these properties. They're like, forget the established continuity. Let's do something new. And then they show a clip. Like, it's just one thing after the other, right? They're like, Beyblade Transformers editions. And by this point, the audience is grumbling. The audience is like, rah, 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 rah. And then they're like, here's a clip from the new Transformers season of some, I don't even know. Because it's for children, right? We're not children anymore. The people that are in this theater are all 40 or above. I did see one kid. Someone had brought their kid. But it was all middle-aged nerds. And they're showing us this thing from this new kid season. And then the grumbles are like, rah, rah, rah. It's getting louder. Then it starts. Then we get, hi, I'm Peter Cullen, and I'm Frank Welker, because Frank Welker is the voice of Fred from Scooby-Doo, which is like his natural voice when he's not doing a voice is Fred from Scooby-Doo. Hey, gang! So they're like, we worked in, they're talking about their history on the Transformers, and like, I can't believe it's been 40 years. What a long, strange trip it's been. Ha ha ha. And then they're going to like, stay tuned for an exclusive revoicing of the first episode of the Transformers. I'm like, okay, could be cool. Then you realize a lot of the people that worked on the original Transformers series have passed away. So it's new people from more modern interpretations of Transformers stepping into like Starscream. So Chris Latta, who did Cobra Commander in the G.I. Joe series and Starscream on Transformers, he's actually, Cobra Commander is in an episode of the Transformers. It's amazing. Interesting crossover, because they were always sibling shows. A lot of the same writers, a lot of the same voice actors, but he's gone. He passed away. So they have new people doing these voices, and Peter Cullen is 82. Okay, Frank Welker is 78. Now, granted, they still sound fairly like their characters, but I think the reality of what we're getting as I'm watching this thing, of watching them revoice the pilot episode of Transformers, I'm like, I think I'd rather just have seen the pilot episode of Transformers. And then, so after that, so that's 22 minutes or whatever, and then after that, they're like, they show a couple of bloopers, and like, you could have cut together a whole season of bloopers from our recording sessions. Well, that would have been nice to see. Someone could have done, if someone could have put together a blooper reel, there's Thundercats bloopers out there. Where are the bloopers from the Transformers sessions? So anyway, they just immediately roll. So I should mention, the whole screen setup for that was like Teltran 1. It was like a computer console from Cybertron, right? You got like the show in a 4x3 box over here, and then the talking heads as they're reading the lines. And then they cut to episode 2 of the series, More Than Meets the Eye Part 2. And they don't show the opening credits, and there's no buffer in between. We just roll out, it's like Transformers 40th anniversary, and then they just start the new episode in the middle. Without the opening credits, you just launch into it, and it's fine. It's 40-year-old animation, syndicated animation from 40 years ago with a lot of visual errors. I noticed one where there were a lot of coloring errors and things like that. But it's fun. Like, that's what we're there for, right? And then episode 2 ends, and they show the credits at like at least double speed. Might have been faster than double speed. The music's not. It's like like, that's fine. They haven't sped that up. But the text credits are going by really fast, and people start laughing. And then boom, no opening credits. We're immediately into episode 3, and that's when the attrition started to set in, and people were like, This is kind of rough. There was like, here's what I'm thinking. By this point, I'm like, you showed like 8 minutes of commercials at the beginning of this thing. Maybe if you had in between these episodes, like one episode ends, first of all, let the credits play at normal speed, please. Then you show a commercial for Transformers Beyblade. Like, show that, okay? Give us one of the PSAs. They had one PSA. Like the episodes always ended with like, you don't want to play with live electricity, kids, because it'll electrocute you. And that's the end of then your battery runs out for good or whatever. They had one PSA. Okay, so if they had put some of the commercials in between the episodes, given us the opening credits, maybe had a brief snippet with one of the cast or the crew from the original series talking about anything to make it feel like some effort was put into it, that would have been cool. So this is when like people start to get up and leave. And I'm like, maybe they went to the bathroom. No, they didn't come back. They just left. They were like, I've gotten what I came for out of this, I think. More and more people, as the episodes commenced, got up and left and did not come back. Because it just felt anticlimactic. It almost felt like the 3 episodes after that revoiced pilot were just to keep us there. Just to give us something to do since we were already there. Like when you go to a comic book convention and they show screenings of something in a room, that feels more like a fanfare. That feels more like an event than what this event actually was. So anyway, the 4th episode, again, no opening credits, double speed in credits, and then in memoriam, it's like it shows the dead voice actors, right? And then the lights come on and it's over. There was no music. There was no fanfare. The last thing we saw was a list of dead actors. So as we're filtering out of the theater, no one's like, oh man, it's so good to catch up with the Transformers. Like, it's a solemn, kind of sad, anticlimactic evening. And you could just tell a lot of people, like, the face. Here's the face. That's the face everybody had. It was just like, yeah. Well, we came, we did our part. And so, I've been like on the drive home, I'm driving and I'm like, why didn't they do this? Why didn't they do this? And it just made me more and more upset because it felt like a cash in. It felt like there was no love for this thing, guys. There was like, what about a documentary? What about like you put together like a 10-minute documentary, retrospective on the impact of Transformers? You talk to some of the fans. I don't know if you have to pay the fans, then okay, just talk to the voice actors because they had the voice actors there for a 40th anniversary voice recording. Talk to them about their memories of the Transformers. Talk to them about what it's done for their life. Talk to them about their experience with the fans over the last 4 decades, guys. I would like to think that for the 50th anniversary, Hasbro and whoever is going to pull out all the stops. But let's be honest, a lot of these guys aren't going to be around in 10 more years. They're already in their 80s. I mean, this was the time to do this. And it felt so hollow and empty. As a Transformers fan, especially of the original series, I realized that animation, it's not good animation. Now, it was animated in Japan. It's like that was an exposure to anime in some ways for 80s kids. It was that shows like Robotech, Voltron. Those were introductions to Japanese animation in a time when we didn't have access to Japanese animation. But that animation was super cheap. It has a lot of errors, and it just doesn't hold up. So I'm thinking like, okay, you're putting this out in a market that's got, PlayStation 5, and there's anime all over the place. You got, easy access to Crunchyroll and all these different places where you can get top shelf animation all the time. You got to make this special. You've got to make this an event worth investing in, and you've got to make it exciting. You've got to make it feel like it's a big deal instead of just laying it out there flatly and then cutting out the opening credits and just like trying to breeze past those The only reason those closing credits were there is because you have to show who worked on the thing. Like you have to, I don't know if it's by law, you have to show who animated the thing. You have to give the credits. So it's like, well, we have to do it, but we don't have to do it. We'll do it our way. Here it is in 6 seconds. It just felt so hollow. And someone suggested, one of Pop Retro, who's a YouTube channel you should check out, suggested that it was probably done by AI. And you know what? I hadn't even thought about that because I know AI can write things and I know it can, yeah, I know the capabilities of AI, but I was like, it probably was done with AI, which would explain why there's no human element in this thing whatsoever. Why it's just like, you want this thing, here it is, bye. It, like when the thing ended, it was like, you're still. It was like Ferris Bueller, right? It's like, you're still here. Go home. Like they're surprised we're still in the theater. They're like, you made it through 4 episodes of this. So I came home. There's a Roku channel, and I have all the Transformers on DVD. Actually, twice. I have 2 sets of Transformers on DVD, but it shows on a Roku channel 24 hours a day. So I fire up the Roku channel for Transformers, and lo and behold, it's the final episode of the series, and then it circles back around and picks up with the first episode. So I'm watching the originally aired version of the thing I just saw in theaters with the new voices, and I'm sorry, the original is so much better. It's so much better because they're younger. One of the things I had forgotten is how much Peter Cullen is doing John Wayne as Optimus Prime. Everything's got a cadence like this. It's John Wayne. He's like, who's the biggest cowboy in history, right? It's John Wayne. Megatron, you're not gonna get away with it this time. So I got to experience that, and a lot of that didn't necessarily come through in the new read because he's 82 years old. He can't even do that anymore. I don't know. It was depressing. It was really depressing, and so I'm trying to reconcile it in the aftermath. I know there's a lot of people that are going to be heading to the theater this weekend to see this thing. Prepare yourselves. Steel yourselves, especially if you're taking a kid. Because I know this is the thing, a lot of geeks, and me being a geek, right? A lot of geeks want to pass that experience on to their kids. I don't know if you can, man. I don't know that you can do that. I think that worked for us because of where we didn't have access to the internet. There was no internet, right? There was no... our Nintendo, we had Atari, we had in 1984. Yeah, we're dealing with Atari pretty much. We're dealing with very basic video games. The Transformers captured us in a way then that if your kid is coming to Transformers through the movies and then you show them this, they're going to think it's busted. They're going to be like, this is old. And it is old. It is creaky. It's okay to say that. It's okay to go like, well, it hasn't aged terribly well. I still love it. I love the stories. I think the animation's pretty good. But it's a far cry from what we have today. And I just feel like this was a huge missed opportunity for the 40th anniversary of Transformers to do something fun and celebratory. It felt hollow. It felt like an afterthought. It was half done. And I hate to say it, but I wanted to be honest about it, and I wanted to really report on it for the people that weren't there. This is what you missed, if you missed anything at all. What do you guys think about the original Transformers series? Hey, who's your favorite Transformer? Is it Optimus Prime, or do you like some of the other ones? You know, I like Bumblebee. Why did the movies make Bumblebee mute? Why can't Bumblebee talk in the movies? Come on, that's the thing that bothers me the most about the movies. Is you got the Transformers are the characters of the story, and then the movies are like, well, we can't really do that, so we're gonna have these humans be the characters, and some of the Transformers will talk, some of them won't. You don't silence Bumblebee. It's like in Deadpool. It's like in the Wolverine Origins movie when Deadpool is the Merc with a mouth. That's his nickname, the Merc with the mouth, and they literally mute Deadpool. I'm like, what are you? Have you even read a comic book, bro? Do you even cartoon? Do you even geek? You got to ask yourself. And having been at this event last night, I don't think they do. If it's AI, that AI does not geek. All right, I'm going to wrap this one up. Guys, thank you so much. Till next time, I don't know, till all are one?